no gain. You got to do the work. You can read all the books until you're wise. You can have faith and believe until it is extraordinary. But now you must go to work. And if you'll learn to appreciate the work that produces the miracle of good health, the miracle of a career, the miracle of a relationship, the miracle of a fortune, only humans now can do this. The birds of the field can't do it. No other life form can imagine and create something from nothing. Have faith and then build it and make it real. Only humans. It's an extraordinary gift. Depends on how often you use it. So number one of the ideas I wanted to share with you to make this an extraordinary opening year century for you is philosophy. We're affected by what we know. Second is attitude. We're affected by how we feel. Third is activity. We're affected by what we do. Now here's the final two pieces. Number four, learn to measure progress. Once you've set up a project now, you want to turn nothing into something, now you must measure your progress. How are you doing? Here's how we teach it to our children. Life expects us to make measurable progress in reasonable time. Measurable progress in reasonable time. That is the game of life. So part of it is not just to set up the proposed project, but as we start working on it, we start measuring how we're doing. Now first, what is reasonable time? You can't ask someone every 5 minutes, how are you doing now? See, that's too soon. Guy says, I haven't left the building yet. Give me a break. Now we can't wait 5 years. That's too long. So there's reasonable time. So make this note now. What is reasonable time? One, at the end of the day. A conversation a father should have with his daughter today, because the magic is there. If he waits till tomorrow, the magic may be gone today. Next is a week. Make that note. Usually we get paid by the week. Somebody adds up our value to the marketplace, out comes the check. The next week, somebody adds up our value to the marketplace, out comes the check. What I learned to do is to change my value to the marketplace so the check kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't have to change the economy. I only had to change myself. Measure your own progress. Success is a numbers game. We demanded of our children, how many years do you want your child to spend in 4th grade? Approximately. About 1 year, right? You say, well, if they're nice kids, would you give them 3 or 4 years? You say, no. This is not a nice game. This is getting ready for the future. This is getting ready for the challenges and the opportunities. You can't linger in 1 grade more than 1 year. Now make this note. The same should go for us as adults. Don't linger more than 1 year in 1 grade of learning. Adult, management, entrepreneurship, leaderships of all kind. Keep up the pace of learning. The numbers. Measure. Count. Now here's the key. Face the truth. If you're only making this much progress, there's no use trying to kid the world, no use trying to kid anybody else, and especially don't kid yourself. If in a period of time you've only made so much progress, you just got to swallow hard and say, this is the truth. I've got to face it. Now, what could I do to start increasing my progress and make my health better, make my income better, make my investments better, make my value to the marketplace much better, get busy learning the second skill and the third skill and the next language and the next language to increase my value? I got to get busy and do that. See if you will do that. I promise you, one of the greatest motivating factors in the world is progress. And if you'll measure it, you'll get excited. Now here's number 5 of the 5 major things I wanted to share with you to make these opening years of the 21st century really pay off for you. And here's the word, lifestyle. Learning to live well, because the ultimate essence of life is not a Ferrari. The ultimate essence is not a home. The ultimate essence is not a bank account. It's not $1 million. It's not a fortune. Here it is. The ultimate essence of life is learning to live a good life. That's the key. Whether you have modest resources or whether you have mega millions, Either way, the real key is learning to live a good life. And so in my closing 5 minutes, let me give you what I think is a good list. Now, this is the short list. In other presentations, I cover a longer list, but this is called Jim Rohn's short list for living the good life. Here it is. Number 1, productivity. You really won't be that happy if you don't produce. And here's the next bit of advice on that. Produce to the max if you possibly can. To produce a little is okay. To produce enough is okay. To produce some to get by is all right. But why not try productivity to the max? Andrew Carnegie, who built the steel industry back in the 30s, here's what Andrew said. I'm going to spend the first half of my life accumulating money. I'm going to spend the last half of my life giving it all away. He got so inspired by that goal that the first half of his life he accumulated $400 million, which back in the 30s was a lot of money. A mega fortune. Guess what he did the last half of his life? He gave it all away. I got a good question for you as we close. Here's the question. What's got you turned on? What's got you up early? What's got you eager to face the day? What's got you inspired to learn the extra skill, put in the extra time, go the extra mile, learn how to work with people, guarantee your future? Here's number 2, good friends. You got to have good friends.
You've got to get so good at that thing that when people see you do it, you make them experience the most potent human emotion, and that is awe. To get that good is a terrifying journey of self-discovery and confronting who you really are, because you cannot make change until you acknowledge where you're actually at.
The most important decision of your life is deciding whether you're truly committed to being happy no matter what. Because life is going to throw all kinds of curveballs at all of us. There's the one thing that's in common in this lifetime is extreme stress. But it's just true. Someone you're going to care about is going to die. Someone's going to take advantage financially if you're not careful. You're going to find yourself in a position the government might change the rules and you can't do what you're doing before. Somebody call, like I've gotten a call saying you got a tumor in your brain. Those days alter you. So the greatest gift you could give yourself, besides making this life about love and making this life about giving, because to give you have to keep growing, is, I believe, to make that decision and say life is too short to suffer.
We are all very good at shooting second arrows at ourselves. How many times have you laid yourself low? How many times have you berated yourself for taking some damn fool action in retrospect? How many times have you compared yourself unfavorably with someone else? We don't just shoot second arrows. We shoot third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh arrows at ourselves. The important thing for you to note is the second arrow is always delivered by means of mental chatter. What you don't recognize is the stuff that you believe, which you have not subjected to the same scrutiny, is equally false. And that too will crumple. So the question to ask yourself is not, is this true or false, right or wrong, good or bad? The question to ask yourself is, does this model work for me in my life now better than what I am currently using?
You get to build yourself in any direction you want, in any way, to become anything you want. There will be an extraordinary price to pay, but you can go in any direction. Now, I don't think that we're born blank slates, but we are so close to that. To worry about where your limits are is to miss how much you can improve. So focus on how much you can improve. There's an amazing quote by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the author of the Gulag Archipelago. And what he said was, the line between good and evil runs through every human heart. The most important decision any human being has to make is whether they live in a friendly or a hostile universe. Decision. The most important decision anyone has to make. Because neither of those two states is empirically true, but either will immediately appear true once you decide to believe it.
That the secret to life is to get outside yourself and find the way to add value to others. There's nothing that's more fulfilling than doing something beyond yourself. I think one of the things that makes me proud to be a human being is human beings will do more for others that they care about than they'll ever do for themselves. And when you tap into that, you have more energy than anybody else, you have more joy, you have more excitement, because, as I always say, life supports whatever supports life. Motive matters.
Words can work miracles. Words are powerful. Words are almost godlike. In fact, ancient script says the Word was God. God was the Word. Wow, words and God. What if somebody can't possibly see how they could do well, how they could become successful, how they could transform their lives and their health, their future, and their finances, spiritually, and every other way? They can't see, and you come along and share your story, and maybe borrow some other stories. And by the time you get through with a good presentation to this person, they say, now I can see. Before you got here, I was blind. I was in the dark. And while you were talking, some things dawned on me. Is it possible to create light with human intelligence, with words? And the answer is, of course, of course. Here's part of the spectacular opportunity as a human being. One person talking to another. It's got so much power, so much potential. Nothing more magical and powerful, awe-inspiring than words have the ability to dramatically affect people's lives and futures. So become a good communicator. Let me give you some good keys to good communication. Here's number one. Have something good to say. Communication starts with preparation. Getting ready to speak this year. Getting ready to speak next year. Attend the classes. Read the books. Have something good to say. Here's 4 good words to help you to have something good to say. 1 is interest. Develop a new interest in people, in life, what's going on, economics, politics, religion, social structure, possibilities, opportunities. Develop a new interest. Here's the next word, fascination. Goes that step beyond interest. That's why kids learn so much that first 6 years. Fascination. Adults are walking on ants. Kids are saying, don't walk on these ants. I'm studying these ants. I'm looking at these ants. Kids are so fascinated. How come an ant can carry something bigger than he is? Wow. That's how come they learn so much. They're fascinated. And here's another little clue I've learned. Turn frustration into fascination if you can. You'll learn more. I've worked on this. I'm pretty good at it. Out in Los Angeles, I'm on the freeway. My airplane leaves in 45 minutes. The traffic is moving not 1 inch. I am now fascinated. I'm telling you. Now, it doesn't work every time. That's true, but every time it does work, I'm telling you, you'll come away with more. Learn to be fascinated instead of frustrated if you possibly can. Turn that little scenario on for yourself. Next is sensitivity. You've got to understand, we use the phrase where people are coming from, where they've been, what's going on. Sensitivity training is so important. People not like you, people that have got challenges and problems and difficulties. You've got to do your best to be sensitive to other people, where they find themselves, the pit they might be in currently, what's going on. Be sensitive to that. If you really want to communicate well, you've got to be touched and moved. Not just by your own drama of life, but by the drama you know is going on in other people's lives. Sensitivity. The last word is knowledge. You just got to go through exercises like this. Take the notes, work hard, roll up your sleeves, go to work. Gather the knowledge in journals, gather the knowledge in notebooks, gather the knowledge in the library and cassettes and videos and every other means. Gather knowledge. Don't be lazy in learning. A major part of communication is preparation. Now here's the next part of good communication. Say it well. One is having something good to say. Number two is saying it well. Let me give you a quick list on saying it well. Number one, sincerity. Best place to start if you want to communicate well is let your sincerity show. Next is repetition, the mother of skill. I've been at this 33 years. Someone says, well, you give a pretty good seminar. I should. 33 years? Repetition. Next, brevity. Sometimes you don't need many words if you're totally sincere, I'm telling you. Jesus' presentation in gathering up his team called disciples was fairly short. He just walked around the countryside, took a look at somebody and said, you follow me. That's brief. I mean, that's short. Now, why could he get by with such few words? And this takes care of a lot that I've tried to share with you today called personal development. Here's why I think Jesus could get by with such few words. For all that he was that he didn't have to say. Take that scenario home. For all that I am that I don't have to say. Just a few words can be dynamic and affecting someone else's life. Next, vocabulary. Got to work on your vocabulary. Some of my friends took a survey among prisoners working on some rehabilitation program. They weren't particularly looking for this, but here's what they found. There's definitely a relationship between vocabulary and behavior. And here's what they found out. The more limited the vocabulary, the more tendency to poor behavior. And when you think about it for a while, it makes sense. Words are a way of seeing. And if you don't have a good vocabulary, you can't see very well. Can you imagine the mistakes in judgment when you can't see very well? Next, words are a way of expressing what's going on in your head, what's going on in your heart. What if you can't see well and you can't express well? You can imagine the tragic scenario of 5 years of that, 10 years of that, 20 years of that showing no improvement. Behavior now becomes a major problem. And that person's world gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Why? They can't see and they can't express. I'm asking you to stretch your vocabulary. Why not add to your vocabulary so you can see more, see better, and express better? Put out in words what's in your heart, what's in your soul, what's in your mind. So say it well. Here's number 3. Number 1 was have something good to say. Number 2, say it well. Here's number 3. Read your audience. Read your audience. If you're talking to a child, you've got to study the face of the child. You've got to study a little body language. You've got to study what's going on. So you'll know whether to shift gears, come on a little stronger, ease off a little, might be too strong, search for another illustration, soft, strong. A lot of that is dictated by reading your audience. When I first started lecturing, I had some challenges here. I didn't know what was going on down here. I didn't know what was going on over here. I didn't have any idea what was happening over here. Whether I should come on a little stronger, use that. I didn't know. I couldn't read my audience. So, read your audience. Now let me give you some ways to read. Number one, by what you see. Body language tells us something. How to shift gears, whether to go on, whether to stop. If you're talking to somebody and they're leaning towards the door, that means you gotta hurry, right? They're not gonna be here long. Body language. Guy's got his arms folded, chin tucked down. You've got your work cut out for you. You're gonna have to reach deep in your bag. Find some extraordinary stories. This one's not gonna be easy. What tells you that? Reading what you see. Here's the next one. Read what you hear. You've got to read a child's impatience. Kids don't mind telling you whether they're bored or impatient. Kids' attention span is short. That's why you got to get it in. You start talking to a child, 30 seconds they say, how long is this gonna take? Whoa! Read. Listen. Listen for the response. Now you'll know whether to shift gears, change your language, find a new illustration, soften, stronger. Read your audience. Read what you see, read what you hear. Here's one of the most important. Read what you feel. Now, women are probably better at this than men when it comes to picking up emotional signals. What if you meant to say to someone you care about? What if you meant to say, what's troubling you? And instead you said, what's wrong with you? Communication. So read the emotional signals. Women have this uncanny antenna picking up this stuff. Woman says, doesn't feel right. I mean, what does that mean? It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. It's built in, I think. Ancient scenario says this: there are shepherds and there are sheep and there are wolves. What a good life scenario. But it doesn't stop there. This ancient scenario says also, some wolves are so clever, they've learned to dress up like sheep. Now you gotta have a woman. Gotta have a woman. Man says, looks like a sheep, talks like a sheep. Woman says, ain't no sheep. Take my word for it. They know. Read. Pick up the signals. Don't ignore the signals. Develop this personal development scenario, communication, financial independence, and all the rest.
Welcome to Fresh Motivation. Today, we explore Stoic quotes to keep your mind strong. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love. In your actions, don't procrastinate. In your conversations, don't confuse. In your thoughts, don't wander. In your soul, don't be passive or aggressive. In your life, don't be all about business. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. We should not, like sheep, follow the herd of creatures in front of us, making our way where others go, not where we ought to go. To be stoic is not to be emotionless, but to remain unaffected by your emotions. He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a man who is alive. It's time you realize that you have something in you more powerful and miraculous than the things that affect you and make you dance like a puppet. No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have, and to cheerfully put to good use what they do have. Life is very short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, and fear the future. Don't seek for everything to happen as you wish it would, but rather wish that everything happens as it actually will. Then your life will flow well. I begin to speak only when I'm certain what I'll say isn't better left unsaid. Give yourself fully to your endeavors. Decide to construct your character through excellent actions and determine to pay the price of a worthy goal. The trials you encounter will introduce you to your strengths. Just keep in mind, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. He has the most who is content with the least. Be stoic. Just do the right thing. Just keep going. My first rule is to keep an untroubled spirit. The second is to look things in the face and know them for what they are. The average man is a conformist, accepting miseries and disasters with the stoicism of a cow standing in the rain. Not to assume it's impossible because you find it hard, but to recognize that if it's humanly possible, you can do it too. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not yours. This is the mark of perfection of character, to spend each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, laziness, or any pretending. Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands at your elbow. Be good for something while you live, and it is in your power. The trials you encounter will introduce you to your strengths. Remain steadfast, and one day you will build something that endures, something worthy of your potential. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Keep at it, as a blazing fire takes whatever you throw on it and makes it light and flame. Treat whatever happens as wholly natural, not novel or hard to deal with, but familiar and easily handled. The easiest way to live unhappy and unsatisfied is to hope more often not you'll be disappointed. Thus, your main aim should be to do the best that you can right now, and to expect nothing at all except the way things turn out, despite your best efforts. That's the only path to a peaceful mind. How long will you wait before you demand the best of yourself and rust season to determine what is best? Do every act of life as if it were your last. The expectations that you bring to your meditation are often the greatest obstacles you will encounter. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Remember that your perception of the world is a reflection of your state of consciousness. The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is contented with his lot, whatever it may be. Happiness isn't outside of us, but actually comes from within. He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. When you are offended at any man's fault, turn to yourself and study your own failings. Then you will forget your anger. If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, "He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone." Begin to begin is half the work, but half still remain again. Begin this, and thou wilt have finished. Whatever happens to you has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. The twining strands of fate wove both of them together. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. If you are pained by an external thing, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your own judgment about it. And it is in your power to wipe out this judgment now. Every difficulty in life presents us with an opportunity to turn inward and to invoke our own inner resources. The trials we endure can and should introduce us to our strengths. Prudent people look beyond the incident itself and seek to form the habit of putting it to good use. On the occasion of an accidental event, don't just react in a haphazard fashion. Remember to turn inward and ask what resources you have for dealing with it. Dig deeply. You possess strengths you might not even realize you have. Find the right one. Use it. Define for me now what the indifferents are. Whatever things we cannot control. Tell me the upshot. They are nothing to me. You can discard most of the junk that clutters your mind and clear out space for yourself by comprehending the scale of the world, by contemplating infinite time, by thinking of the speed with which things change. Each part of everything, the narrow space between our birth and death, the infinite time before, the equally unbounded time that followed. Let us meet with bravery, whatever may befall us. Let us never feel a shudder at the thought of being wounded, or being made a prisoner, or of poverty or persecution. Floods will rob us of one thing, fire of another. These are conditions of our existence, which we cannot change. What we can do is adopt a noble spirit, such a spirit as befits a good person, so that we may bear up bravely under all that fortune sends us, and bring our wills into tune with nature's. Today I escaped from anxiety, or no, I discarded it, because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Things stand outside of us, themselves by themselves, neither knowing anything of themselves, nor expressing any judgment. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. Just as nature takes every obstacle, every impediment, and works around it, turns it to its purposes, incorporates it into itself, so too a rational being can turn each setback into raw material and use it to achieve its goal.
The beginning of being anything is the dream. The beginning of being anything, it starts with a dream. One day, somebody had the dream of being able to fly like a bird. Well, today we have airplanes. Somebody had a dream of one day going into outer space. People go to the moon and they come back. People one day had dreams of being able to travel at high speeds, all types of things. It all starts with a dream. Martin Luther King had a dream that one day all of us could unite and come together. Well, it's happening. It hasn't fully happened, but it's happening. But it started with a dream. Those dreams are available to each and every one of us. So parents, if you have a child that says something that's beyond the realm of your thinking, don't make it not possible. So when your child says, I'm gonna be a star, and you don't really see the talent, they got something in them that you might not know about. They may have a dream and something burning inside of them that you don't know anything about. It all starts with a dream. The Bible says that a man without a dream or a vision shall perish. And that's so true. If you don't have nothing you're working for, nothing you're shooting for, you really have no focal point in life, and you wander around aimlessly all the time. So all of you out there, whatever your dream is, and dream big. My father used to tell me all the time, he says, son, aim for the moon, because if you miss, you'll still be amongst the stars. The bigger you dream, the wider you let your mind fly, the more capable you become of accomplishing the thing. See, you've got to understand that it doesn't matter your financial circumstance. It doesn't matter what environment you live in. If you can see yourself out of the project, if you can see yourself outside the ghetto wall, if you can see yourself anywhere, then guess what? See it. See it and believe it to be so. That is the beginning of all things happening. It is your dream and your vision. And let me give you some advice. Don't share all your dreams with everybody, because the moment you say something to somebody and they don't see it for you or themselves, they start telling you how it won't happen. Now you allow that into your mindset when all you was doing was wanting it to be so. And now guess what? Then comes the stumbling blocks, the hurdles, the pits in the road. And now you find yourself trying to understand what they were saying when all you really had to do was go on with your dream. So when I have dreams or ambitions, I only tell one person. I usually tell my wife. And after that, I don't really share it with a whole lot of people, because I know that everybody ain't pulling for me, but I know she is. So I share with her what I'm thinking about becoming and doing and hoping for us and our family. And that's who I tell it to. I don't tell it to my friends, my boys. I don't tell it to my manager. I don't tell it to nobody, because guess what? They got their own agendas too. Now they don't see it for you, because then that's going to get in the way of some plan they had for us and them. And now next thing you know, they working against that because they got another plan. So I don't really share it with people. I share it with my folk, and I share it with my God, and that's it. But do dream. If you can't think of what to dream, stop at a magazine stand or a bookstore and flip through magazines and see stuff that you'd like to have. See places that you'd like to go. Imagine things that you'd like to be. Sit down and close your eyes and imagine where you would like to be, because that is the beginning. It is the dream. There's a whole series of things you got to do to become successful, but just today, I'm just going to stay on this one thing. Do not be afraid to dream. Do not be afraid to think that you can. And remember this, you ain't too old to have a dream. Anybody can dream. I don't care if you're 45, 55, 65. You can dream about something. It can still happen for you. And the younger you start dreaming, the better you get at dreaming. And when you get good at dreaming, then after a while, you're going to have to start making some of this stuff come true. And next thing you know, you're on your way. But it starts with a dream. So dream big, open up magazines, cut them cartoons and them sitcoms off, and quit watching soap operas all day. And do something that'll stimulate your mind. The Travel Channel, the Discovery Channel. Watch a cooking show. Just get into some other things, man. You never know what's inside you, and something may spark a flame that burns in you that you really didn't even know you had, but you got to open up your mind and let it fly. Dream on with your bad self, and don't let nobody tell you that you can't. And the best way to not have a person tell you you can't is to not tell them what you want in the first place. It's your dream. It really ain't got nothing to do with nobody else.
Wake up! Wake up from your dream and make your dream a reality. Wake up! Wake up and understand the significance of the purpose that you have within yourself. Understand that if it's something that you are truly ultimately seeking in your life, then you got to go after it. There are a lot of people that are sitting around waiting for something to happen. Now, what you going to do about it? How are you going to go about doing the things that are necessary to get you where you need to be in your life? Everybody has a dream, but how much are you applying to that dream? How far are you pushing that dream? When are you going to realize that the dream is not going to work by itself? When are you going to realize that if you're not hungry enough, then you are not going to be able to satisfy the hunger that you have within yourself? So if you're a dreamer, sooner or later, you're going to have to wake up from that dream. And while you're walking down that path, concerning yourself about things that you may not be able to control at that moment, focus on what you can control within yourself. Because there will come a time when while you're applying yourself and you're going after that dream, this reality kicks in. Bam! And you get knocked down. And you get down and you're looking at the ground. The ground is not going to apologize to you. The people around you is not going to apologize to you. You got to have the ability to rise up and push yourself and believe in yourself and make that dream a reality. Show yourself, believe in yourself. Show yourself that there's something unique about you and you can do more than what you think you can do. But the dreams don't happen overnight. The goals don't happen overnight. There's a lot of work to be done. And if you're not willing to work for it, then it ain't gonna work for you in the first place. Patience is one of the things you have to remember about life. And it takes time. And you got to plant that seed. And you got to nourish it. You got to water it. You got to do all the things that are necessary. But if you don't do it right, if you don't take care of it, it won't take care of you. Don't put all the energy into things that won't help you to grow. Focus on the things that's going to make you better so you can grow. And regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how hard it is, it's not going to be easy, and you shouldn't want it to be easy. Everybody gets something handed to them. Everybody looking for something easy. Everybody looking for a pass. There are no passes when it comes to you and you being unique and having the ability and the qualifications to make sure you get the most out of your life and out of your dream. Be passionate about it, people. I'm telling you right now. Because the world we're living in today, everybody's looking for an opportunity to do nothing. Don't wait for an opportunity to do nothing. Take the opportunity and do something with it. Because it is your life. Now, if you're going after it, go after it the right way. Go after it with a full heart. And don't be afraid of it.
All of our actions echo into eternity. Long after we're gone, our lives also have an echo. Listen to me. Your life matters. What you do in your life matters. You were born to do something great with your life. You were put here for a reason, which is to make a difference in the world, which is to change your own family's tree, which is to do something great with your life. I promise you, you were put here for that, in little ways and in big ways. And there will be an echo for your life. The actions of your life will echo into eternity. The question is, will that echo for you be a whisper into eternity or a roar? And you get to decide based on the actions you take every day in your life, whether the life of you, whether it had a big meaning and it roars into eternity, or whether you play small and you just whisper into eternity. Welcome back to Max Out, everybody. I'm Ed Milet. Today we're going to talk about the echo of life, or the echoes in life. And what I mean by that is, you know that when you hear an echo, you've said something, but there's a delayed response until you hear it coming back at you, and then you experience the result. And that's how life works. See, today, one of the reasons so many people are confused about their lack of success is because we live in a very immediate gratification type society, meaning people expect results to happen instantaneously because we can get access to information instantaneously. We can get on social media, we can get music, we can get a movie, we can get a Google search, we can get a book, we can get anything we want instantaneously. But what you can't get instantaneously is success in life. And we've been raised in a generation now, many of us, even older guys like me, we're programmed to get things right now. And this hurts us in life because we don't realize the echoes of life. See, for me, for example, when I'm having a difficult time in my life in one area or another, all I have to really do is look back 60 to 90 days, and it's the behaviors I had 60 to 90 days ago that are causing the results I get negatively right now. And so, like, for example, when I'm not really, progressing in my career or in my financial situation, if I look back 60 to 90 days prior, I stopped reading the books, listening to the audios, doing the things that grow my identity, and I pay the price 60 to 90 days later. In my body, when my body isn't looking like I want it to, if I look back 60 to 90, 120 days, that's when my diet got weaker. That's when my workouts weren't quite as intense as they were previously, and I pay the price 3 to 4 months later. This is true in every area of our life. Our lives are almost like reading a newspaper today, but we're reading the headlines from 90 days ago. And so that's what confuses people. They see the external results of their life, but if you read the newspaper from 90 to 120 days ago, that's where the news was made, not today. And so in every area of your life, you got to go in right now, you got to fuel the fire. If you've got your business going, your finances going, your relationship going, your faith going where you want it to, you have to continue to do the activities that got you here in the first place, because 90 days from now, you're going to read today's news. That's how it works. If today's news is you stop telling the person you're with you're loving them, if you stop dating them like you did in the beginning, you stop treating them a particular way, you're going to pay the price for it in 90 to 120 days. If you're not eating the way you want to, when you eat a piece of cake, you don't see the fat deposit the next day. There's a delay. And so what happens is we do these negative behaviors, and because we don't see an instant pain or an instant consequence for it, we don't think the consequence is coming, but the consequences always come. There's a delayed consequence for everything we do. And so today, you're getting the external results of 90 days ago's headlines of what you were doing. And the mistake most people make is they get things going in their life, they get their business going, and they stop the very things that got them there because they believe today is the headlines. But you're going to read it in 90 to 120 days. You're going to pay the price.